Hey, hello, Rise Up Nation. We're here for another edition of Rise Up in Real Estate. And today's a special edition. I'm just doing a brief introduction with all that's been going on, all the discussion that's been going on about the NAR proposed settlement. I have a very good friend of mine, Mr. Steve Murray, that came on to our show for about 15 minutes to give his take. He's been in this business about 45 years, an industry leader. He has given probably 40 different presentations on this already since March 15th, and I was honored to have him as a guest. I hope that what he had to say brings you as much encouragement as it did me. So welcome here, Rise Up Nation, and enjoy the show. So RE/MAX Southern Shores, RE/MAX Professionals, we're lucky to have my friend Steve Murray with us today. Virtually, we talked on Monday, and I'm going to show you this recording. And Steve, I appreciate what you have done for my wife and I as we've run this brokerage over the years. And I know you've been an industry leader for a long time, and that's why your name popped right in my mind when I thought about doing this crazy thing we're doing at this meeting where we're talking about leaders' perspectives on this NAR proposed settlement. You were just telling me a few minutes ago, you've had a few dress rehearsals. You've been talking to people all over the country. But Steve, tell me a little bit about you. Tell our group a little bit about you, and then let's dive right in and give us your 30,000-foot view, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so this is my 47th year in the residential real estate industry. The last 36 of those, I was the publisher, editor of Real Trends, and I've done consulting work for over 4,200 brokerage companies in a whole variety of areas. Published and edited Real Trends for 34 years. We sold that to Housing Wire 3 years ago. I'm still a senior advisor to them, more or less still working on mergers and acquisitions, valuations, and general consulting. So still very much engaged in the business. It was less full-time a month ago, now very full-time again with all that's gone on. So spend my entire career.
That's great.
Great people. I love the people of this business. The business itself can be junky, but the people are terrific.
And your offices are in, you were telling me, somewhere in Colorado, way out west.
Yeah, we're in Castle Pines, Colorado, a suburb of Denver, about 20 miles south. Nice little community out here. Yeah. In fact, many of the RE/MAX executives live in this town. Dave Leniger, Adam Contos, Nick Bailey, and a bunch of others all live in the same town out here.
Yeah, that's great. Nick is going to be joining us today as well. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I actually got on my Sanctuary golf shirt. I had the pleasure to play this golf course twice. I'm going to miss it this year, but I love that area.
They'll be opening in about a month, I think.
Yeah, we've been there in June 2 years in a row, and it almost snowed on us both times. Yeah. So I was like, I'm living in the right place.
We'll try to keep it away this year if you come out again.
That's great. What I really appreciate about you, Steve, is that you come at this, and I want you to come at this from an agnostic point of view. You're not brand specific. You're not. I mean, you're just a generalist in the most perfect way. So talk to us about, when you heard this, what did you think? What are you thinking now as you've learned more? And what are the opportunities for us in this business?
Well, I mean, the true mess started with the jury verdict last October, and you could see what would happen next, which is a bunch of settlements. And of course, Anywhere, RE/MAX, Keller Williams all settled at various times. And then NAR settlement on March the 15th. As I've told some people, I was working about half-time until the day of the settlement, and now I'm working full-time again because I still have a lot of friends who are brokers, are heads of teams in the industry, and I've read the settlement carefully. Just a little background, I'm an industry expert witness. I've testified in 4 other Sherman antitrust cases as an industry expert, along with valuation cases, fraud cases, bankruptcy cases. So testifying and being in a courtroom is nothing new to me at all. So I've read all this with great interest. And my thoughts are, and I'll try to be succinct for your people, Tad, you and Mandy, deserve. This is just my opinion. I mean, my great colleague and very good friend, Nick Bailey, I know will be addressing your group. He may have a different take. I respect Nick. He's As somebody once asked, what would you recommend RE/MAX do? And I said, anything I would think of, Nick Bailey already thought of. So you're going to have another good guy. But the way I picture this is out on the horizon, there is a beautiful new industry that awaits us. Truly, it'll be a different industry, and it is one that will favor the highly professional, well-organized agents, teams, and brokerage firms far more than this kind of leveled the playing field industry we've had for the last 40 plus years. But to get to that great new world, we're going to have to go through swamps, deserts, alligators, snakes, lions, tigers, all kinds of nastiness to get from here to what I can see out there. So what do I think is going to happen? Here are the big challenges that I think agents particularly need to focus on. And something that we've never had to deal with, some of these things never had to deal with before. First of all, in all the consumer research Real Trends did when I still owned it, and we did a lot of it going back 20 plus years, the one thing we knew about American consumers is that we are not a barter economy. Americans generally, culturally, have no experience negotiating prices and terms of the purchase and sale of goods and services. Just very little experience. That's why people hate buying cars, because they just don't understand how to negotiate. So now with this new structure, what it appears from the settlement, the buyer is now going to have to enter negotiations with their own agent as to how the buyer agent is going to be paid. So that's one. Number two, the buyer agent is now going to negotiate with their own customer on that same basis. And the buyer agent now has to negotiate with the listing agent for who's going to pay how much, which they've never had to do before. All they had to do is bat around the price of purchasing a home and terms and contingencies and that stuff. Now it's really a personal negotiation between buyer agent and listing agent as to how much the seller may or may not pay the buyer agent. That creates enormous friction. And my belief is that will not go well for a while. Really good agents, you know, like 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 have the skills, the stamina, the professionalism to know how to do that. The great majority of realtors have no clue how they're going to do that. No experience, no cultural tradition of it. So I think that we're going to see a decline of revenues on the buy side. How much? Anybody's guess. And by the way, I pray I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I can walk through all the various conversations, discussions that will have to take place. And any way you look at it, it's going to be a tough transition. However, as I said right at the top, we could end up with a different kind of industry where, in fact, the more professional, more productive agents and teams and the brokers where those people are housed and where they call home, that it could be an entirely different new environment where most of the transactions are done between true professionals, full-time, full in it type of people. One can only imagine what that would feel like to someone with your firm, Tad, who's always done 20, 25, 30 or more transactions, knowing that the people that are on the other side are people who also do that kind of business. And I think too that companies, again, like yours, the leader in your part of South Carolina and other parts of that, what we call the low country, so to speak, where brokerages and or teams with large market share actually now have a scale advantage. Because among other outcomes, we could look at brokers doing, initially at least, more and more of the marketing of their own inventory without using the MLS. I mean, that could, I don't know that it'll happen, but it's heading that way. It sure looks like it based on what we see from the settlement. That favors stronger agents, stronger teams, and stronger brokerage companies. Of course it does. And you can see a possibility of that new environment, that horizon out there, will be actually the industry that people that work for your firm, Tad, all your agents and teams, where it's actually a much better place to work.
But you said getting there could be and what, can you scale that for me? You have any idea? What's the time frame? Is it a 5-year process, 1-year process?
12 to 20. It's not going to be a decade. This is going to be 12 to 24 months tops. I gave an example. I already have a lot of large brokers that I'm hearing from. One of the first things they're working on, other than retraining their agents and making sure that their agents have the scripts and the FAQs and the mindset to know what to do if this happens, or your buyer says this, or their seller says this, making sure they're abiding by the terms of the settlement. That's a big job, right? That's the first thing broker owners have to do. Absolutely the first thing is get close with your agents, make sure they understand what it's like, and be there when they run into the unexpected from buyers and sellers, which is all going to happen, right? But the second thing your peers are working on is, I'm going to need a private listing platform. I'm going to need a platform to market my inventory. Initially, it looks like off market. How are we going to explain to sellers that that's actually a good way to market their inventory, when we just spent 40 years telling them that MLS is the best tool out there? Now everybody who thinks this is just, oh, it's no big deal, I think you're wrong. I think it's a cultural change and it's an organization change. And by the way, most of the Realtor Association executives I've talked to and the MLS executives, everybody understands this is game changer stuff. We're going to have to resort all the way we've run the business. We're going to have to change it all.
Right. And then what, have you seen a change like this in your career, Steve, that you can think of that was like, wow? I mean, you've been around 42 years, you said, so you've been through a lot of things.
I've been through 3 major downturns, and I've seen the various ways of new brokerage models, starting with RE/MAX emerging in the early 80s, late 70s, and then Keller Williams, and then EXP, and then Compass, and then, Realty One Group, and, Assist to Sell and Help You Sell, and Zip Realty and Redfin, and you see all that. And you look at mid-90s, the internet, which scared everybody half to death until we figured out that consumers didn't want us for information. They want our help to navigate a transaction with as little pain as possible. No, this is blowing up what I have always referred to as the realtor marketplace, which was brokers cooperating through an MLS and an association to share information and to agree to a set of rules that balance the interests of the buyers and the sellers and the agents. And it wasn't perfect, but it was better than anything else on the planet. And anybody who's looked at other countries knows the US and Canada had the best system for balancing all those interests. Now, the certain plaintiffs' attorneys in the U.S. Department of Justice and others say we disagree, and the DOJ has been trying to do this for my entire career. They've been trying to blow this thing up. And now they're going to blow up the realtor marketplace. And yes, the plaintiffs' attorneys will win a lot of money. Yes, sellers may save some money. Buyers get screwed for the most part. And our industry suffers a hit to the way we've done business and potentially to our revenues. Okay. And here's what I tell people when I stop. I said, you know what? I had a guy call just a couple days ago. And he said, I hear that CoStar and Zillow are behind this. And my answer was, whoever told you that does not know what they're talking about, first of all. They had no influence on the jury in Kansas City, no influence on the plaintiff's bar. And I can almost assure you the DOJ does not take its marching orders from CoStar or Zillow. Okay? But here's the more important thing. It does not matter. What you have to do now is get over the wailing and the gnashing of teeth for what was and focus on what will be. And we have to get from here to that great new day when it'll settle back and we'll have a new way of running things that I personally, as I said, I think it favors the stronger agents, teams, and brokerage companies. I can't see any other outcome.
Right. Well, listen, coming from you, that means a ton for us because we've tried to position ourselves, as you know, at RE/MAX as that person all along. And it's nice to be in a position, although scary, to be leading from the front. We'll work our tails off to be there when all the dust settles. So, and this gonna make you keep working or make you fully retire, Steve? What you gonna do?
No. I postponed the retirement thing. I've got to be around to at least have people that are confused, or like that guy last week, I'm going, what is it? And even if I'm wrong and CoStar had a hand in it, what does it matter?
Good perspective. Yeah.
Okay, we need to, we want to weep and, like I said, gnash teeth and wail. Fine, get it out of your system. And I've told broker owners, and I think this is true for all agents too. If you think you're close to your customers, get closer. Get in touch. If you're a broker owner, I'd be living with my agents right now, because if I'm worried, they're worried. And we need to talk this through, what we're going to do. And they need to know that we're paying attention. But for agents, your sellers and buyers don't know what this means, and they're all grasping at straws. And I'm hearing this stuff all over the country. We've got to re-educate them. Where's the value? What's in their best interest? Should they offer? Should they not? Should they wait for somebody to ask for compensation, or all those questions? It's one of those times that you say, this is where the best people have a chance to get even better.
Right.
And all I'm going to do is stick around long enough where somebody thinks I can help somebody talk this through. And I'm doing a lot of that now. And it's just my opinion. Everything I've just said is totally my view of what we should be doing. And hopefully it'll be of help to somebody.
Yeah. And I appreciate you, Steve. What I like to do when the water gets a little bit rocky is call people like you, my mentors, I consider, and see what your opinion is, because it's a little bit better than mine normally. So I appreciate you very much. Thanks for spending your time here with us. And maybe if it's okay with you, can I check in with you a couple more times, maybe between now and July, as the things you figure out your path a little bit more clearly? I'd love that. But I appreciate your words today. Thanks for taking the time, Steve.
You're welcome, Tad. I'll be here for you guys always. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.